Season 1, Episode 7, The Reluctant Badass. You know, people have been saying, "Oh, Petula," to me my whole life. Sometimes it was affectionate, sometimes it was amused, sometimes it was exasperated, sometimes it was a little irritated and annoyed, or a lot irritated and annoyed, like I just said something too real for the moment we were in. It definitely wasn't always praise, but it always meant they heard me. And now I've decided to give that phrase a home. This is Oh, Petula, a short podcast about long, layered truths. Let's get into it. So, recently, somebody called me a badass for starting this podcast. Not for skydiving, not for bench pressing my body weight while screaming, "I am enough," but for hitting record. Now, I have been called a badass before. I've also been called a lady boss because I'm too seasoned to be called a girl boss, which is kind of adjacent to badass. Every now and then, someone will hit me with a regal, "You are a queen." They say it in a very deeply respectful way, not that grand rising queen kind of way. We don't do that here. But here's the thing. I don't necessarily agree with that assessment. So if anything, I am a situational badass, a circumstantial badass, a part-time badass with very irregular hours. But as I've thought about it, I think I have some idea why people have called me a badass. So from the outside looking in, if you don't look too close or too hard or too long, it can seem like I have it together. Now, I am by no means perfect. I do not have a perfect life, but I seem to be good at navigating my life. I move through obstacles with what appears to be strength and grace. I seem to be resilient, very good at bouncing back, appearing to be in better shape than before when I do. So that may give some people the impression that I am a badass. Some people consider me a badass because of how I've raised my children. As far as I'm concerned, my children are successful because they are critical thinkers, they are kind, and they are determined. I raised them as a single mother. My son is on the autism spectrum, so he needed a lot, as did my daughter, who also had challenges. But we all survived their childhoods, and we actually love each other, my children and me. They voluntarily reach out to me to have conversations with me. Both have come to me and said they understand why I made some of the decisions I made when they were kids. So for those who know me in that way, they might consider me a badass. But when I think about a badass, a woman badass, I don't see me. I wasn't raised for that. I was raised to be polite, quiet, agreeable, soft-spoken, and well-mannered. I came to adulthood with no thoughts of badassedness. But then life happened, real life. And the things I ran up against, the jobs, the systems, the disrespect, the violence, the racism, the subtle and not so subtle misogyny, the "are you sure you're qualified" moments, those things required a little badass, sometimes a lot of badass. So I had to show up when I didn't want to. I had to speak up when it was risky. I had to rebuild my life sometimes. And sometimes I really wanted to lie down in the gutter and stay there because it was hard. So no, I did not come to this earth to be a badass. Badassery just kind of showed up uninvited and kidnapped me. Another reason I don't really feel like a badass is that from what I can see, badass women have energy, a lot of energy. They have fuel all the time. They literally crackle with the electricity they possess, and they use it to power through their lives. That's not to say I don't have energy at all, but I have to be careful with my energy, intentional with it. When I think of a badass, I'm not thinking of someone who enjoys naps, and believe me, I enjoy a good nap. And plus, I know women who are real badasses in real life. Capital B, capital A, capital D asses. People fear them, like actively go out of their way not to make them mad. That's another reason I don't see myself as a badass, because I don't think anyone has ever really been afraid of me. People don't move differently around me because they're worried about what I might say or do. I have never had the sense that someone avoided a decision because they thought, "Petula will not like that." In fact, a lot of times it felt like people didn't consider how I'd feel about a situation at all. True badasses, in my mind, they come into a room and the room shifts. Now me, I come into a room and the room goes, "Hey, Petula, glad you made it." Another thing that doesn't make me a badass to me is that I'm really slow to anger, typically. True badasses don't just get angry, they get righteously angry with precision and flair. They call it like it is, immediately and accurately. They say the thing out loud right away. Me, I stew, I process. Now, once I do get to anger, it's on, it's not a game, it can be lethal. But I can be slow to arrive at times, and to me, badasses aren't slow. And I mean, I'm not imposing, I'm not threatening. I don't walk into spaces and make people feel like they better not mess with me. I walk in and people seem to feel like they can ask me things or ask me for things or tell me things or share things with me. And that's not a bad thing. But to me, that's not a badass thing. So I'm not a classic badass. I'm a reluctant badass. But I am someone who has learned to access that energy when I need to. And for me, that's the real magic, because I did not ask for the armor, but I have figured out how to carry it. I sharpened my sword one day, and then I'll go around righting the wrongs for a little bit, and then I'll take a really long bubble bath. Because in my corner of the world, strength is not loud, and it's not glamorous. Sometimes, actually most of the time, it's really just not giving up. And that is the most foundational, most badass thing of all about me, the not giving up part of me. I'm not one to give up. Not giving up, or being stubborn, as some people who know me would like to call it, is literally what has kept me alive all this time. So, to all the badasses out there, part-time, full-time, flex time, and in between, this is what I have for you based on watching what all of us do, fighting the good fight. When you're fighting that good fight, you don't always have to fight alone. Yes, sometimes solitary missions will happen, but make sure you find your tribe too, not necessarily a huge one, but an effective one. Make time to tend to your weapons, to sharpen your knives, to clean your guns, or hydrate your throat before delivering truth. Make time to rest. Don't forget to train, no matter how much of a badass you are, because you want to stay sharp so you can use your weapons well. And let people see you being a badass. Being a badass publicly, openly, visibly, it is inspiring to someone like me who needs the reminder that badassery is a tool and it is important to use it well. That's all I got today. This has been Petula, where the name is odd, the stories are real, and the honesty always comes in layers. Please come back next week.